Okay, let's jump right in. We're talking about a feeling that, let's be honest, we all know way too well. It's that moment you're facing a huge decision, a real crossroads in your life or your career, and you just feel completely stuck. You're looking for that one perfect choice, but you end up making no choice at all. Well, today we're going to break down a really powerful way to get moving again. Does this look familiar? All these different paths, all these options just swirling around in your head. Each one has its own list of pros and cons, and pretty soon the sheer weight of it all just becomes overwhelming, right? There's this crazy pressure to get it right, to pick the one correct path. And that pressure, it can be absolutely paralyzing. And this is where we need a crucial shift in how we think. See, we often believe that what we're waiting for is certainty, some kind of guarantee that we're making the absolute perfect move. But chasing certainty, it's a total trap. It's like getting tangled in those thorns on the left. It only leads to more delay, more stress, and more inaction. The real goal, the thing that actually helps, is on the right, aiming for clarity. Clarity is that light bulb moment. It's something you can actually get, and it doesn't make all the uncertainty disappear. It just makes it manageable. So that's our first big idea here. You have to actively choose clarity over the illusion of certainty. Let's really dig into what that means and how it's going to help you navigate those really tough decisions. So what even is clarity? Well, it's not about having a crystal ball that tells you the future. It's actually about having a super honest look at your current reality. It's about understanding your real-world limits, your time, your money, your energy, and knowing what genuinely fits into your life as it is right now, not some fantasy version of your life in the future. Once you have that, you can actually pick a next step calmly, without that rising feeling of panic. And this is what it looks like in practice. Gaining clarity is kind of like clearing away all the clutter and noise. You start to see which paths are just, well, they're unrealistic for you at this moment. Maybe you don't have the time, or maybe your energy is just low. And all of a sudden, you're not staring at this wall of 20 different possibilities anymore. Maybe you're just looking at 2 or 3 that are actually viable. And that is how you become able to choose a next step. And the feeling that comes with this is so important. The goal isn't to feel 100% sure. I mean, that's rare, and honestly, it can be a pretty misleading feeling. The real goal is to feel grounded. Grounded in your reality, in your values, in what you know is true for you today. And when you feel that, the decision just doesn't feel so heavy anymore. It becomes lighter. Okay, so let's build on that with our next section, because this next part is a little counterintuitive. We're going to talk about the power of subtraction and why real progress often means having fewer ideas, not more. We have all been here, right? You think, if I could just come up with one more brilliant idea, one more option, then the right path would just magically reveal itself. So we brainstorm, we do tons of research, we collect possibilities like they're gold. But here's the twist. The real problem, most of the time, isn't a shortage of ideas. It's an overload of them. Having way too many options is what actually causes us to hesitate and makes every single choice feel incredibly final and super high stakes. I mean, think about it. When you're standing at a crossroads with 10 different paths fanning out in front of you, what do? You start comparing them endlessly. That is analysis paralysis. It causes hesitation, it causes emotional overload as you try to game out every single outcome. And the whole process makes each decision feel incredibly risky because you're not just choosing one path, you feel like you're actively rejecting 9 others. And that brings us to this key insight. Narrowing down your options isn't failure. It's progress. Every unrealistic path you cross off the list, every bad assumption you get rid of, brings you one step closer to a decision you can actually make. Better decisions really do come from subtraction, not from piling on more and more. Okay, so we've established we need clarity and we need fewer options. But how do we actually, move? This next part is all about the how. It's about making progress safely and effectively, through consistency, not through some big, bold leap of faith. This right here is the engine of progress, and it's a really simple but powerful little feedback loop. First, you take just one safe step. That single action gives you real-world information. Second, that information helps you make a slightly better next decision. And third, those slightly better decisions begin to compound over time, and that's what leads to huge improvements down the line. Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking, man, this sounds really slow. And you know what? You're right. It can feel that way, but its strength is in its sustainability. This isn't about making some dramatic, risky bet on one big idea. It's about quietly testing things, limiting your downside, and treating every single action as a chance to learn something. That is how you build real, lasting momentum. Which brings us to our final and, I think, most important section, your next small action. Forget about the 5-year master plan for just a second. Let's focus on what you can actually do right now to get unstuck. You only need to do these 3 things. First, choose just one direction that feels realistic. Not the most impressive or the most exciting, just realistic. Second, design one small, totally manageable experiment to test that direction. And third, pick a date on the calendar when you're going to stop, review what you learned, and then adjust your course. That's it. That's really enough. And please, let this be a reminder to just take all that pressure off yourself. You don't need to prove that you have it all figured out. You are not committing to this path for the rest of your life. Your only job is to stay in the process. Take a small step, learn from it, and adjust. So, this is the question I want to leave you with. Forget everything else for a moment and just ask yourself this. Based on exactly where I am right now, what is one small, manageable action that I am genuinely willing to take next? Not what you think you should do, but what you will do. And this is the final powerful idea that kind of reframes this whole thing. Decision-making isn't about picking some fixed point on a map called success. It's about choosing your next step. It's about choosing your direction of travel. The focus is on the movement itself, not the final endpoint. Because when you protect your stability, when you reduce the pressure, and you just keep taking those small, safe steps, you give yourself the gift of time. And ultimately, time is what allows you to turn all of that scary uncertainty into real opportunity. So play the odds. Just take it one step at a time.